Okay, so guys, community member interview with Mr. George. George, how long have you been in the community for?
I would say I've been in the community since, well, prior to starting my offer. So maybe since the beginning of the year, around
Okay,
January.
so looking at about 9 months, almost a year.
Yep.
Um, and just so I guess let's start just so the people watching have some context. Like, what are you up to right now?
So I'm on a fitness offer that I found with your help on the community. And so I'm really grateful about that. And a little plug to
Cool.
the serial sales community because
Sure.
I don't think I would have been where I am, especially at the level of struggle that a lot of people have to find a good offer. So I got
Mhm.
really fortunate finding a good offer on a first try, but based on the advice that Dylan gave me. So
Yeah.
currently on a fitness offer, doing really well. Um, in terms of numbers or whatever, have closed over, earned over 20,000 in commissions for the last 6 months or so,
Mhm.
averaging. So things are going really great.
Cool.
And, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. 20,000 per month, right?
Correct.
Okay. I was gonna say
Yeah.
20,000 in 6 months. I was like, that's
No,
not
no,
right. So
no,
per
no.
month. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I actually, maybe I knew this previously, or maybe I just didn't know it. I didn't know that was your first offer, which is cool. But what did you do before all this?
Yeah. So this is my first sort of high ticket, or this is my first internet high ticket role. I was working in a brick and mortar organization in the tax resolution space, and we were selling high ticket esque type of packages. So we were sending, people would get started for anywhere from 500 to a couple thousand, and then we would upsell from anywhere from a couple thousand to 25,000.
Okay.
So that was high ticket. I just didn't know it at the time. And so when I found my current offer, I was like, oh, this is very similar. And I just have to learn kind of the space a little bit better. And I think I could apply my experience. I
Yeah.
had been in the tax space for like 18 years. Like I was doing pretty good, but not as
Yeah.
good as I'm doing now.
Why did you decide to get out of that?
There was some organizational stuff that was changing, the same reason most people,
Yeah.
changing commissions and changing rules and stuff. And it's like, okay, you know, I had been writing my own ticket for a long time on there. So it's like, okay, I don't feel like feeling like having somebody have their thumb on me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hear that from almost like every industry. How did you uh how did you come about this whole high ticket sales stuff? Like how did you discover it?
So I had been following you and a bunch of other people on Twitter is kind of you know, the entry level stuff. And then when I had left the other company, I was like, okay, well, I got on a call with another community and I joined it right off the bat. Like what the hell? I'm ready to invest in myself
Yeah.
and my future, bet on myself. So I joined it, and then I went through their training, and I was like, it was super basic, and everybody I was interacting with in their community was like, "Why are you here, man? You should be a closer. You shouldn't be a setter. This is super basic for you. You're as good as the guy who created the community. So what are you doing here?"
Hmm.
So then I found you. I'm like, well, I'm going to go join another one. So then I joined yours. And then you're like, okay, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, thank God someone knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys that get into this space, they don't really need more sales training. Maybe you need to like fine tune it specific to high ticket sales, but I feel like, and this is what I emphasize, is like how to kind of navigate the landscape and just almost how to navigate this as like a career, right? The
For
sales
sure.
stuff, it comes with the reps, but like if you're buying into an expensive program and they just tell you to like do mock calls until you get hired, doesn't really work like that, you know?
Right. Well, that's what it is.
So
So I'm like, I'm not getting paid to do these things. I'll do a couple hours or whatever figuring it out. And
yeah,
I'm like, okay, this is a script. I can follow a script. I don't need to do 100 of these mock calls,
yeah.
right? Especially for setting type of script.
I know a
Because,
lot of guys
yeah.
that come from like more traditional sales And those who have, like you said, you were in the tax space for 18 years. When they see this high ticket sales stuff, they're, some are thinking like, oh, it's too good to be true. It's no way it's happening. Like, did you have any of that when you discovered this? And like, if so, how did you decide that, hey, this actually is legit?
That's a great question. So when I first got started, it took me a while to get my legs in the offer. I didn't, would never done fitness before. Um, I was so nervous about doing a bad job that I was like, oh, I'm going to get canned, right?
Yeah.
And I'd made the cut. Like I missed the minimum production threshold, but like $200. And they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, you're good. We're gonna keep you on another month. So I'm like, okay, I got a month to figure it out.
Cool.
And then I improved, and then I improved, and I improved. By the third month, I was making, my third check, because we get paid monthly.
Mhm.
My third check was like $17,000. And I was like, that's almost 3x of what I was making before. So I'm like,
Crazy.
I'll take it, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. What and you said like you quit the tax job and then just went all in high ticket sales. Like, why didn't you kind of try to do a little overlap and make it safer for yourself, you know?
I had money in the bank, which is, one thing, right? And the other thing is like I was just kind of burnt out on tax. Like, the community, I knew all the players. I was like, it's the market had kind of matured to the point where I was like, okay, I was going to go make the same money doing the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for a change anyway. So I'd
Yeah.
rather, put some time in, do the reps and do something different.
Yeah. And I know it's easy for these, kids to come in 18, 19, 20 years old when they have no responsibilities, nothing at all, and just like quit their, part-time job and commit full time to this. But
Sure.
what was that like for you? Obviously, you're not like 18-year-old kid, but I did the same, right? I had pretty low responsibilities. I quit my job cold turkey, had money in the bank, and I was like, I'm going to make this work. Otherwise, I knew I could go back and get my job. But what was that like for you? That like downtime between not doing the tax stuff and then landing the first role.
Right. So that was like less than 30 days, which was awesome because,
Yeah.
again, because of the community, you're like, here, this is how you find offers. I had no idea like what was a good offer, what was not a good offer, or anything like that. So I just went and applied for a bunch of offers, and
Yeah.
my current offer reached out, and did an application, did a video, and they're like, uh, we've selected you to do an interview.
Cool.
So the guy called me, the manager called me at like 8 o'clock at night, which is weird to
Yeah.
me. They're California, right? So,
Yeah.
we're on the Pacific time. And then they're like, yeah, you're in. Yeah, we'll send you the emails. We'll send you your email and you can start. That was a Thursday night. And then I was taking calls by Monday. So I was sweating like the ramp up because I was like, shit, I
Yeah.
got 4 days to learn fitness, learn their script, learn their, and I was like really a little concerned about, am I going to know the technology? I've done a Zoom call, but I haven't
Yeah.
done 20 Zoom calls in a day.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, so
Yeah.
it was a little nerve wracking. And quite frankly, I got inside my head a little bit that first month thinking,
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't cut out for it, but I was like, I could always go back and do tax if I wanted to.
Right.
Right. And so that way I was like, so my plan was, and maybe one of your trainings was about this, but maybe not. I can't even remember anymore. There's so many. I was like, well, if I make a little bit of money, then I'm only dipping into my savings so much, and that gives me that much more runway. And
Hmm.
then by month two, I'd already made more than what I needed, and then it was off to the races.
Yeah. What when you first started and you were like in that, was it a month like trial almost? Or how long was
Yeah,
that?
the first month is a trial. I mean, they're like, you got to hit these numbers or you're out.
Yeah. What were you doing outside of taking calls to like make sure that you hit that?
Oh my God, dude. So, the community or not the community, the offer that I'm on, all wins are posted publicly,
Yeah.
right? And then, who's in the top of the leaderboard. I don't know if we had the leaderboard published at the time, but now we do. So, like you can look at the top 10 closers,
Yeah.
right, and see
Helps.
who's doing well. What's that?
It helps a lot when you can
Oh,
see that.
100%. Yeah. And then, so once who are the top 10, then my other strategy was, okay, I'm going to look at as many of the top closers as I can, right? I
Mm.
probably reviewed 150 calls easy, right? That first
Wow.
month. And, some people were like, oh, I cannot sell like that guy. I'm never going to sell like that guy. That guy's out, so I erased him from the list and stopped looking at his calls, right? Or
Mhm.
her calls, right? Because there are some people, they're just like so over the top, energetic, or just, personality driven sales people
Mhm.
that I'm like, well, that's not me. I can't sell like that. And for
Right.
me to accumulate, it'd be totally inauthentic and phony and not do a good job. So
Mhm.
you need to find a selling style that you resonate with, that you can emulate. And then once you emulate it, then I started started looking to me for advice. I'm like, hey man, I've only been here 45 days. What are you looking at me for? Right.
Yeah.
But it got down to three important things, right? Number one is figure out your style and have a structure to your call so that you can move through it pretty quick, because we're stacked back to back every 30 minutes.
Yep.
And if you're not able to take advantage of the volume, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, so I did want to ask you that too, man. Like I've seen a lot of different offers. I know people on a lot of different offers, and the one that you're on, they are known for just packing the calendar. Like how do you manage that?
Yeah, for real. So it's pretty crazy. In the beginning, when I think about it, I was like, oh my God, I was so overwhelmed on my first day. I had like 20 calls set. I was like, 20 calls, my God, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? So, it wasn't uncommon and it's still it's not uncommon. It's less common today because I really aggressively manage my calendar, but it wasn't uncommon back then because I didn't know what the heck was going on,
Yeah.
to have people just flake and not show up.
Yeah.
So that would give you a 30-minute break, and then now I manage my calendar more aggressively so that if somebody doesn't respond to my confirmation, they're off my calendar,
Yeah.
and I'll either block that slot out or try to get it filled in with somebody else if
Mhm.
if I have the energy level, right? Because you
Yeah.
sometimes you go 5 calls and you're like, man, I need to breathe, I need to eat something.
Yeah. I know how that is. Like you probably have a few days where you're just back to back. Everyone shows up, everyone confirms, and you miss lunch. You miss
For
like
sure.
dinner. Like,
Absolutely,
but
100%.
yeah, but pros and cons, right? Like there's
Yeah,
worse problems to have, you know?
totally a first world problem, man.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like you said, now people are coming on your offer and they're asking you, hey George, like how are you, how do you do this? How do you do that? Can you point me in the right direction?
For
So,
sure.
for someone who gets in on a competitive offer with almost like this form of not imposter syndrome, but it's like, oh, like my back is against the wall. I've got to perform. What would you recommend that that person does along with reviewing calls?
Yeah. So, I mean, don't reinvent the wheel, right? Find a style that works for you and emulate it,
Hmm.
right? So that's one thing. Second thing is get deals over the finish line, right? So you got to close them,
Yeah.
right? You got to close them somehow. Close them, close one a day. I would tell people close one a day. One a day is usually enough to kind of keep you in the game,
Yep.
right? Even with 20 calls. I mean, it's a crap close percentage, but it's enough to keep you in the game. And if you're generating production, they're going to keep you around,
Mm.
right? Because there are people that'll take 20 calls and not close,
Yeah.
right? Or they'll have some success and then they'll go change everything because they saw the top closer do it, and then they can't close anything.
Mm.
So that's the other thing is when you make changes, know your structure well enough so that you're not changing everything all at once, but you're just changing one small thing so that you
Mm.
can change it back if it doesn't work, right? After 5 experiments or 6 experiments or 10 experiments, if your change doesn't work, get rid of it,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
like it.
having structure and then not making a ton of changes and then, focusing on putting in the reps so that you can get good enough. Because what ended up happening for me is once I figured out one a day, then I could do, 2 a day or 3 a day. And now I'm at a point now where I can, my best is 6.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy schedule too. I mean, that's like having 20 calls, right? So, but if you can have a week where you've closed, 3 days, you've got 3 or 4 sales a piece. I mean, you're ending the week with 24 sales or something.
Hmm.
That makes for an awesome month.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say a lot of these offers can't pack a calendar like yours can. So, you know, you're definitely working hard, right? Like I think you posted that you're on pace for potentially like 200K a year this year, 300 next, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like you're in here laptop on the beach coasting. Like you're probably working harder than you were at your old, well, it sounds
without
like
a
you
doubt.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. But I'm
So
getting paid too.
you're getting paid 3, 4x, right? So I guess I would assume we're talking about how packed your calendar is. You might have a call in like 2 minutes.
We're a little slow right now, believe it or not. So
Okay.
I've made time for that.
Okay. I unfortunately I do have a call in 2 minutes, so I did want to
Okay.
wrap it up.
Okay, cool.
Um, with anyone who's getting into high ticket sales and they're like, guys, I don't know if it is what people say it is, or how to do it. What would you tell that person?
So I would encourage, if you're interested in sales, high ticket is where it's at, man. I mean, there's nothing better than working from home, or wherever you want to work from, having that flexibility. The pay is there, right? The opportunity is there if you're on the right offer.
Yeah.
Obviously it is 100% performance based, and some people are just they can't live up to that, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. They need the paycheck.
it it's just like any other type of sales, like, or anything in life. Like not everybody's going to make it, so you do have to, there are people who are just more inclined to have success in sales, and if you are that type of person, you're in solar or car sales, tech, whatever, tax, stuff, you could probably do it in high ticket sales. And
More
yeah.
than likely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'd be really good at door to door, right? Or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just not my style.
Yeah.
Um, but I know people that do really well with that. But I
Sure.
don't know of them, but I've heard of them, like in the
Right,
community.
right. Yeah, I think it's just like the work ethic and being able to put yourself out there. And if you just stick to it long enough, like I know you could probably do it if you just put your mind to it,
Probably
just
could.
like
I
you did.
probably
That's
could. Yeah, I
but
could. But like, why would I trade what I'm doing now when, for that? Unless it
yeah,
was like, hey, we're going to pay you 10x of what you make now. I was like, I might try it.
it's hard to beat, man. Well, I gotta jump, but if you guys are watching this and you're considering hopping in the community, or you're about to jump in the community, George is in there, as well as some other guys that are on the same team as him. And yeah, get connected with guys like myself, guys like George, guys who are brand new, and it makes it a lot easier. So George, I appreciate your time, man.
100%. You're
Um,
welcome. I appreciate all your help. I mean, again, um, you said that how much do I attribute my success to the serial sales community? I mean, a lot of it, right? If I didn't find this offer, I might be puttering around trying to find some other offer, or have tried a bunch of dead end offers, and I
yeah,
would may not even be in the game anymore.
yeah, and that happens to people very frequently. So, man, I appreciate the kind words,
For sure.
and if you're watching this and you're gonna jump in, we'll meet you soon.
Cool.
Alrighty, thank you, George.
Yeah,
Take
man.
care.
You bet. My pleasure.